It is a study of celestial cruelty and the enduring horror of injustice. Our investigation begins with a cartographical anomaly. In the Aegean Sea, circa 500 BC, sailors speak of a remote, uncharted island that appears on no map. The reports that filter back to the port cities of Athens and Corinth are not of strange beasts or hostile tribes, but of something far more unsettling. They speak of an unnatural silence, an absence of birdsong, a coastline devoid of any life. Those who dared to land and returned, and there were few, spoke of what they found inland. Not ruins, but a gallery, a horrifying collection of statues scattered throughout the landscape. Men and women from every walk of life, warriors in full bronze armor, their swords half drawn, merchants clutching their purses, fishermen with their nets still in hand. The craftsmanship was impossibly lifelike, but the artistry was uniform in its subject matter. Every single face, without exception, was locked in a final, shared expression, a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. It was the look of a soul confronting an impossible horror in the instant before its annihilation. This was no island of wonders. It was a museum of lost moments, a testament to a power that did not just kill, but curated its victims. To understand the nature of the force that guarded this island, we must first open the file of its keeper. Before she was a monster, she was a mortal woman. Her name was Medusa. By all accounts from the period, she was a figure of singular renown in Athens, a woman whose beauty was so profound it was considered a public spectacle. But her identity was not defined by her appearance alone. She was a devout, sworn priestess in the service of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare.
Her life was one of piety and rigid discipline. Within the sacred columned walls of the Parthenon, she dedicated her existence to the veneration of her patron goddess. Central to this service was a sacred vow of celibacy, a promise to remain pure, a vessel dedicated solely to the worship of Athena. Her beauty may have drawn the gazes of mortal men, but her devotion was directed entirely toward the heavens. She was the embodiment of piety, a perfect servant, living a life of honor and purpose within the ordered, logical world of her goddess. This devotion was the bedrock of her existence, and it would be the catalyst for her damnation. This sanctity of Athena's temple was absolute. It was a space beyond the profane passions of mortals and, supposedly, the capricious whims of the gods. This sacred law was violated by Poseidon, the god of the sea and Athena's eternal rival. Consumed by lust for the beautiful priestess, he refused to be denied. He entered the temple, a place of supposed sanctuary, and there, on the cold marble floor before the statue of the very goddess she served, he violently assaulted Medusa. The sacrilege was an act of profound desecration, a direct insult from one deity to another, using a mortal woman as the instrument. But when the goddess Athena's fury was roused, it was not directed at the perpetrator, her divine peer. It was directed at the victim. In a chilling act of celestial bureaucracy, Medusa was held responsible for the defilement of the temple. Her trauma was reclassified as a transgression. Her purity, having been stolen, was now deemed a contamination.
Athena's punishment was not swift or merciful. It was a cold, calculated, and monstrously creative act of cruelty. The goddess chose to weaponize the very features that had attracted Poseidon's gaze. The curse began with Medusa's hair, her most celebrated feature. Each strand writhed and thickened, the follicles twisting into living, venomous snakes that hissed and coiled around her head. Her skin, once smooth, took on a deathly pale hue, covered in fine reptilian scales. Her face was contorted into a permanent mask of the agony she had endured. And finally, her eyes. Her beautiful, once pious eyes were imbued with a new, horrific power. Her gaze became a lethal force, a petrifying curse that would turn any living thing that met her eyes into solid stone. Athena had not banished a monster, she had meticulously constructed one from the broken pieces of her own devoted servant. This file then shifted from a biography to an intelligence report. The subject, Medusa, is a hostile entity of immense power. Her primary weapon is a line-of-sight petrification gaze with an unknown effective range. A secondary threat is the nest of venomous serpents that constitute her hair. She is to be considered extremely dangerous.
It is at this point that the case file of the demigod Perseus is opened. His quest, while framed in the epics as a heroic undertaking, is catalogued in our archives as a divine termination order. He was tasked with the elimination of Medusa. But this was not a simple act of monster slaying. It was a cleanup operation, orchestrated and equipped by the very deities responsible for her creation. Athena, the architect of the curse, provided a polished bronze shield to be used as a mirror to avoid direct eye contact. Hermes provided a curved adamantine sword, sharp enough to sever the Gorgon's head. Hades provided a helmet of invisibility, allowing for a stealthy approach. Perseus was not a hero fighting a primordial evil. He was a divinely sanctioned assassin, sent to permanently silence a tragic, inconvenient, and dangerous reminder of celestial cruelty. In the final analysis, the subject known as Medusa cannot be classified as a monster. She is a monument to injustice. Her legend is not a cautionary tale about a terrifying beast, but a clinical case